The MK2-250 extruder for flexible hot flow is for flexible 1.75mm filaments with surface temperatures up to 250 C. This includes Bendlay, Filoflex, NinjaFlex, EcoFlex PLA, Flex 45, and Plastink rubber. We're going to talk about the Hyrel3D MK2-250 print head. This is designed for 1.75mm filament at up to 250 degrees, but this one is specially designed for flexible filament like NinjaFlex, Flex 45, Filoflex, stuff like that. Like the other head, the standard MK1-250, the filament comes in through the top. Instead of having pneumatic fitting, we have a PTFE tube, and here's a view without the motors assembled. So your filament comes into the top of the tube. This guide tube is what the filament will be delivered from, and that just seats in the top just like that. Your material goes into the Your material goes into the feed chamber, where it's actually grabbed by two motors that rotate to advance or retract the material from both sides. So looking up closer at that, you see that this tube has got scallops where the two motor shafts will go through, and if you look at it from the other side, you can see the cutaway where your filament is loaded. So it's going to drive through that, through the shaft. It's a PTFE tube all the way, and down here this part mates with the nozzle exactly like you see here. And the nozzles are machined and the guide tubes are machined so that they mate properly. This is why we don't use stock nozzles from other manufacturers, because we have custom machining on that. And this provides no place for any kind of buildup, so you shouldn't have any plugs. The material comes down, it's melted down here at the fusion chamber or melt zone, and then the brass nozzle deposits the material. This is a cooling fan, so it puts extra air out here. This fan nozzle that we print out of PEEK acts both to deflect the air down onto the material that's already been deposited, and it also acts as an insulator, so radiant heat from your melt zone doesn't warm up the material you've already deposited, causing it to flow anymore. This is the 103 circuit board, or the hot head controller. You've got a manual lever here, so this going to the left will manually retract this material, and moving it to the right will manually advance the material. With a series of LEDs, you've got a blue heartbeat, you've got transmit and receive over the CAN bus, you've got an error light, you've got temperature control, fan control, motor direction, and power to the motor. These are all the wires that control it. Coming down, starting at the bottom, these are the gibs, the mechanical slots where you load the head into the yoke. When as you slide the head down, this spacer board will keep it from going too far, so that's adjustable. The way we adjust that is with a 2.5mm hex driver and these two nuts, these two screws. So you can slide this up or down to make it fit properly. This is the programming port, so that's where about once a year we have a software firmware update, so you'll want to use your ST-Link, which comes with every printer. Line it up properly so it's oriented with the tabs and the slots, and plug this end into the machine that's running your software, and flash new firmware about once a year. These are all the other leads that run to operate the motor. So your four color leads, the black, red, green, and blue, operate the two motors, which are always in sync. The red and black cables operate the fan. The two silver wires go to the temperature return unit, the RTD, and these thick red wires are actually power for the heating unit to apply heat to melt the filament as it comes out. This fan here also is always running, and this applies cold air to keep that tube cool so that your filament doesn't get all gooey and have a problem where it's feeding. The only maintenance required on this, because the flexible filaments don't erode like the standard rigid filaments will, is that you want to hit the bottom if needed with a wire brush just to clean off any debris that builds up. If you have any questions, you can find out more information at Hyrel3D.com and Hyrel3D.net.